Hello, divas. I am so sorry. I'm trying to peel an orange from my granddaughter. I am so sorry that I missed last week. I've been dealing with migraines and some other stuff too. If you follow me on Design on a Dollar,
Up in here, yo.
Shorty, let's go. She did the iPad. She right with the iPad.
yeah, but bring my iPad back.
Up in here.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to peel this for my granddaughter. And here, Kiana, here, put this in the trash. Kiana, put that in the trash. Okay, so.
Kiana,
Oh, all right.
Kiana,
Hi, divas.
let's go.
Huh?
Let's go.
You can ride with that home, but you can't keep it there.
I'm going home.
Yeah, you got to go home. You got to go to school in the morning.
I thought you were supposed to be here for 30 minutes.
You was here for an hour. I'm sorry, guys.
30 minutes. You got the whole other
Yeah, you got a whole nother 30 or 45 minutes to get home.
Come on.
Will I get McDonald's?
Oh yeah, give me my thing. She hungry.
Come on, when I get this.
Okay, guys. So hey, Renee. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I've been having migraines and I just could not bring myself to log on last week. So, and if you follow me on Design on a Dollar, then then you know here. Then you know that I've been having some sleep issues as well. Hello?
Hey.
Hey, your brother on his way. They getting ready to leave now.
Okay, so you have an egg?
No. Is there a McDonald's somewhere between here and there? I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get her a sandwich and a soda.
Okay.
All right, let me give you the change so I can. I'm sorry, guys. Please just give me a minute or so. Oh, did you need something to eat too?
For me?
No, I ain't talking to you. I ain't got.
Oh, no, I was just trying to say no. I was just making some nuggets and beans, and I was trying to see if I needed to save or not.
Yeah, you still probably need to save us some. I'm sorry, guys. Did I give you the change?
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, what's that? Is this my Dominican Republic money?
What?
Who me? I'm live, so I have to call you back, honey. And she did two math sheets. Hey, Deborah. Huh? She said she has spelling. So yeah, she got to do spelling. You told me a fib.
I did not tell you no fib.
Yo, let's go.
She coming.
I just
Okay.
need to just do something right quick.
Here, you want these?
a sandwich and a drink.
Yeah, she gonna get a sandwich and a drink.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be back. I'm getting that shit still for 3 hours.
Kiosha, bye.
Bye. My mom is rude.
Yeah, she is, isn't she?
She calls you when you were live.
Give me a kiss. I may see you when you get out of school tomorrow.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you too.
Do not take the iPad out. You just get the ride. And make sure you turn off the headphones.
Okay.
Now I'm back, guys. Thank you for being patient. And as I was saying, I didn't come on last week because I had a migraine. And then on top of that, if you follow me on Design on a Dollar, you know that I've been having some sleep issues as well. So I didn't come. Come on. So I am so glad, as I'm not home, as you can probably tell. I'm not home. I have a VA doctor's appointment, so I'm at the hotel that I stay in every time I come up here for a doctor's appointment. So, whew, I'm so glad that I brought my laptop because I completely forgot the day was Monday, or I would have been short again. But I was trying to find a topic for us to talk about because I left the book home that we're talking about out of. So today we're going to talk about something that's close to my heart, um, and that is homelessness of women and children. And this is near to my heart because my daughter has been homeless like a couple of times, and thankful the she okay, let me back up. She was married, and she was in a abusive marriage. Her husband was not the children of either one of, or not the father of either one of her children. And so he tried to kill my daughter, and he tried to kidnap all three of my grandchildren, but two of them was old enough to walk. And so when my daughter actually got out of her house, she was able to call her two oldest ones back because they was walking. But the youngest one, he kidnapped, and he kept her in an abandoned house overnight. The police had been calling, they had an Amber Alert out and all that. But thanks be to God, because he had threatened to kill my granddaughter. And so they found him in an abandoned house with her. She was hollering and screaming. She was cold. She was wet. And so, needless to say, he went to jail, and he stayed in jail for almost 2 years waiting trial. Now, my son was also married, and his wife she didn't like me, and she didn't like my daughter. So his attorney was trying to find everybody that he could to testify on behalf of her husband, and that my daughter was this bad person and everything. And he got my son's ex-wife to testify on his behalf. And because my daughter's attorney the DA didn't think that they would need any more witnesses because it was a pretty much cut and dry case. Because my daughter didn't testify because she couldn't be in the same room as he was, and so she didn't go to testify. And the only person that testified was my son's ex-wife. And so, based on her testimony, he got out of jail. Immediately, as soon as they found out he was getting out, and the DA couldn't believe that he didn't get any time. He was supposed to go away for like 20 years or so, just for kidnapping my granddaughter. But he didn't get any time whatsoever. And so as soon as the state found out that he was getting out, because he kept threatening that he was going to get her, they picked my daughter up out of her home, and they moved her into a safe house in a whole nother city. And because they moved her so abruptly, she didn't have time to pack any furniture or anything to that nature. The only thing she was able to do was grab clothes for the children. And I mean, she lost TV, she lost the children game systems. I mean, she lost everything. And when they moved her into a group home. First they moved her in a group home locally. And then it's shortly after he got out, they took her out of our hometown and moved her 2.5 hours away. So she was homeless. And thankful that the city that they put her in had a good shelter things for people that were for mothers and their children that was homeless. So I still can't say where she lives at because we're not for sure whether or not he still monitors like my channel or anything to that nature to see if he can find out where she's at. Which so homelessness and for young women and their children is very dear to me. And I'm so grateful that they put her in the shelter. She stayed in the shelter probably for 6 months. Then they put her up in an apartment. He found out where she lived at in that apartment. So they had to move her to another safe house or women's shelter. And she was there for 6 months. And then they took her out of the shelter and she was living in a hotel for 3 months. And she just thank be unto God. They just got her into her apartment with the children. So they've been displaced for a year and a half. They stayed in shelters, they stayed in hotels, and this is not in a third world country or anything like that. This is right here in the United States. And I think it's hard for people to believe that there are women that are homeless because I think people have this preconceived notion that if you're homeless because you can't pay your bills or you got evicted from your home or different things to that nature. And yes, those are some reasons that we find women to be homeless. And there's over 6 million homeless women and children in United States. And I'm bringing light to this because of my daughter and someone was there to help her. And she just got into her place, so she didn't have anything. And so thank be unto God, that Facebook Market, there was people that gave her we own rental property. So one of our tenants got evicted and they left a washer and dryer. So we brought her a washer and dryer up here. I wanted the children to have a Christmas tree. So I went 45 minutes out of the way to get them a Christmas tree because it was for free. So somebody donated them a Christmas tree. Somebody donated them a table and chairs. Somebody donated them a living room set. So the only thing now that we're trying to do is get the children and her bedding because right now they are sleeping on air mattresses. But they're in their own place. They'll be in their own place for Christmas. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. But I was trying to figure out a way that I can talk to other women and find out if there's some place in your hometown that for the holidays, I know we have toys for tots and everything, and that's all well and good. But I would love to know if someone was able to go to find your women's shelter and go to your women's shelter and find maybe one family in there, and maybe you can't buy a whole lot of expensive toys. Go to the Dollar Tree. Children just Barbie dolls, coloring books, anything like that, especially when they are displaced and they don't have their own for the holidays, because a lot of children still believes in Santa Claus, and there is a Santa Claus. There is a Santa Claus. And they believe that if they're not in their home, Santa Claus can't bring them anything. So it would be nice for you to go, and even if it's to take some McDonald's food or something, just be a positive role model for young women and their children that are displaced. I don't know the statistics on race as far as what races are homeless, but it affects all races, all nationalities. And I don't know if somebody else has dealt with homelessness. I can honestly say I can't say that. I was homeless for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And I was homeless for 3 weeks because I graduated college and I moved to a bigger city to work. And the first 3 weeks of the job, you had to rotate shifts. So when I first started working at the prison, there was 3 shifts. And because you was a new officer, you had to work all 3 shifts. 1 week, all 3 shifts. And so at first I was commuting 2.5 hours each way for work. When I did the first shift and second shift, I commuted 2.5 hours one way. And then on the third shift, when I was working third shift, I couldn't do that. So I had to live in a boarding house. And oh my God, I wouldn't wish that on the worst person, because what this boarding house was like 3 or 4 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 kitchen. Everybody used the same bathroom. Everybody used the same kitchen. And it was women that were prostituting out of their room. So if you went in the bathroom, there was condoms everywhere, used condoms at that. There was needles because people was shooting up, and it was just crazy. I cried every night I was there. I cried. And I had to stay in there for 3 weeks until I was able to find me a place. And I didn't care what the place looked like. Anything was going to be better than living there. And so I did move. I moved into a home. And of course, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. And I was able to bring my children with me. So that is, just imagine a young mother in her 20s, and that's my daughter. She's 26, and she has 4 children. She has 3 girls and 1 boy. And she had to leave home. She had to leave the comforts of all her family. She had to leave them because of a man. And then you put her into a place where there's other homeless women and children. And the children didn't think anything about it because they had beds to sleep in. They had a playroom. They had hot meals that mom could cook. They was still going back and forth to school. But it wasn't theirs. And they lived in a hotel for 3 months. And of course, in the beginning, children, oh, I live in a hotel, yay, 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 yay. and it was so exciting for them because they was in a hotel. But after being in a hotel, being in one room for 3 months, you don't have your own space. My daughter was cranky because she didn't get her alone time. My this is going to sound funny, but my daughter doesn't like children. She never intended on having any children. But she has four, and now she loves hers. Now she'll tell you the best compliment you can give her is complimenting her about her children, how well she takes care of them, how well they are loved, how well she provides for them. She said if she don't care if nobody now she has a real, real bad attitude. I mean, she's me at a young age. No filter, no anything. She's gonna tell you what she feels, and I raised them that way. I raised my children to tell me as well. If they feel like I'm wrong about something, talk to me. I raised my children to be able to voice their self, but in a respectful manner. Now, sometimes it backfires on me because I listen to them and they be like, "Mom, you said da 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 da," da," and then I be like, "Y'all got me, y'all, you got me." But yeah, but homelessness. Um, what's the other thing? Hold on, guys. Um, Poverty, hunger, and homelessness. Those are the three things that go hand in hand because poverty brings about homelessness. It brings about hunger because if you lose your job, you can't provide for your children. If you don't have a residence, you can't get public assistance because you have to have a residence to get your stamps, to get all those things. So then in turn, you don't have a job, you lose your home, your children and you are, hungry. And if there's anybody out there that is living with this, I would say find your local soup kitchen. Your local soup kitchen, they would feed you, they would give you clothing, they will sometimes give you vouchers for like to get a room for a night or something. Um they will the soup kitchen, our soup kitchen also has a food bank in it. It has like a little clothing area, and it also has a place for what you call them shelters. It also has a shelter, but it's like a first come first serve thing. And if you have a son that is 9 years old, they make you they tell you that your son can't sleep in the same female room with you. He has to go over to the male side to sleep. And what parent is going to allow their 9-year-old son to go stay in another part of a homeless shelter, and they're not there to protect their son? There's people out here that does some crazy things with children, and it would be no way in God green's earth I would sleep in my car. I would sleep as long as I had my children with me and I knew they were safe. Then we would have to rough it out in a car or something, because I couldn't see myself allowing my son to sleep somewhere that I'm not. Now I will go there and get a shower, get my children's change, clothes, all that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to stay overnight without my child. And that's some of the things that a shelter a shelter lacks, I mean that's the rules that the state provides, tell them that they have to do. And I know I'm jumping. I know that's right. Deborah, no, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't. And when I lived in the boarding room for those 3 weeks, I wouldn't even bring my children there. I left my children with my mom 2.5 hours away because I was not going to subject them to that. And then I was with a abusive man. Um, he didn't turn abusive until I moved away from my hometown, because my family is crazy. They really are, and my brothers are like, my brothers tell all the guys that date their either their sisters, their nieces, anything. If you mess up, I'm gonna F you up. So he right before we left, I found out that he was doing drugs. Marijuana is not really what they say a drug, but he was doing marijuana, and he was putting crack cocaine in the marijuana. And so when I finally moved, I wasn't going to let him come with me because I found out that he was doing drugs, and I wasn't going to allow that to be around my children. So because I was homeless for 3 weeks and stayed in that boarding room, I allowed him to come because I was scared to be there by myself. And that's when the abuse started. So the 3 weeks that I was there, the first time he hit me, and I couldn't believe that it happened. And we as women sometimes we allow things to happen to us that we wouldn't allow if we were in a different situation. And because I was in the boarding house, the enemy allowed me to think it was my fault. I was talking to him and telling him that, I had to go to work. Please turn off the TV. He was being inconsiderate because I had to go to work the next morning. And because I was speaking to him and he didn't like it, he hit me in my face too. And so when he hit me, I was stunned because I couldn't believe it. So I got up out the bed, and I wouldn't allow him to see me cry because I wasn't going to do that. Because once you let a man see you cry because they hit you, then they know they can continue to do it. So I got up, went outside, I stood on the porch, I let a couple of tears drop. I came back in, I got in the bed, and I kindly said, if you want to open your eyes on this side of God green earth in the morning, I think you better get up and get out of here, because if you go to sleep, you're not going to wake up. And he kind of grabbed all his stuff and he left. And so that lasted until I moved in the house. And then when I moved in the house, he kind of wended his way back in and was like he was so sorry and it's never going to happen again and all that stuff that abusive people say to you. Renee, no, believe it or not, I looked him up about 6 months ago, if that, and found out that he passed away. He got married, he had some children. This was all in his obituary, and he passed away. I reached out to his wife, but she never responded back. And I'm thinking that it probably was drug related. It was probably drug related that he passed away. I know, Renee. And I think, well, it ain't no thing. I know that if he would have stayed there that night, he wouldn't have woke up, and I would have found some way to, I don't know. He wouldn't have woke up, but I know he wouldn't have woke up. And I probably wouldn't be sitting right here talking to you guys right now because I probably be in the women's prison. But I allowed him to come back, and I allowed him to come back when I moved into the house. Another reason because that I was scared, I was lonely, I was by myself, I didn't have anybody. And so one day I came home from work and I had my daughter, and I still had my uniform on, and I sat my daughter down in her high chair to feed her. And he came up from the back of the house, and he was like, "You stole my $20. You stole my $20." And I kept saying, "What $20 are you talking about, Chris? What $20 are you talking about? I haven't stolen your $20." And all I could think, my daughter was crying, and I was on one side of the table, he was on the other side of the table, and my daughter was crying because we both was raising our voice. And then finally I said, "Chris, can you I said, let me get my daughter, let me get Kiona." Not Kiona, Lord have mercy, that's my granddaughter name. "Let me get Kiosha, and let me go to the ATM, and I'll get you $20. I just wanted to get out the house." He wouldn't let me. So he came at me. I took my pepper spray out, and I sprayed him with my pepper spray. We did some type of fighting because I called the police. When the police got there, I was in my uniform, and they saw blood either on my I think it was blood on my uniform. And they was like, "Well, are you hurt?" And I was like, "No, I'm not hurt. It's not my blood." So they told him to come up to the front. And of course, he was bleeding in his face. He was bleeding in his neck. And of course, he was biracial. So, and I sprayed him with that mace. So his face was red too. And the police, he kept telling the police, "She stole my $20. And I told the police, I said, "I think he's on drugs." I said, I know he's used before." And they said, "Well, I think that's probably it, because a piece of crack is $20. He probably spent the $20 and forgot he smoked it up, and now he's think you have the $20. So of course, law is, if you've been in a house for longer than 6 months, you have that's right. I know, Renee. I was stupid then. Well, I ain't gonna say I was stupid. I was young, thought I was in love. I was alone, and all those factors allowed him to be able to do what he did. But so if you're somewhere for 6 months, then you consider that's to be your legal residence, regardless of whether you're on the lease or anything. If you're there for 6 months, you have to evict. You have to evict somebody. So if you have a house guest that comes and they stay there for 6 months and you want them to get out your house, then you have to go and file an eviction notice for them to get put out your house. So the police officer asked me that I have anywhere else that I could go for the night. And I called one of my coworkers, and she came. And me, like a idiot, because I knew he was smoking crack, and I was afraid that he was going to OD, he was going to hurt himself. I wanted to call and check on him to make sure he was okay. And my coworker said, "You're not calling him." But I did. I called him. He didn't answer. So the next day, I came home from. I didn't have to go to work the next day. I came home and I told him that he needed to pack his stuff and go. Yes, I was young and naive. Hello, Cassandra. How are you tonight? We're talking about, well, we are talking about homelessness, poverty, and abuse at the same time. So we're talking about all those things mixed up into one. And I'm sharing my homelessness story along with my abuse story, part of my abuse story. Because this wasn't the first time that I was in an abusive relationship. Um, when I tell you I've had physical abuse, mental, emotional, verbal, psychological, any type of abuse that you can think of, I've dealt with. Not with the same man, but in my life, I dealt with a relationship where the guy I was dating pretty much kind of raped me several times. Um, I'm getting beside myself. But anyway, so the next day I came back from my coworker's house and he was there. And I had this other coworker, a male coworker, that he really liked me and I liked him. He was a really, really, really good man. And the only reason I think I didn't end up marrying him was because he had a son in Washington, D.C., and he wanted to go back home so he can spend time with his son. And I understood that. He asked me to come, but my children were country children, and I knew if they moved to a big city, it would be a culture shock for them. So I didn't want to put them through that. So I didn't go. We tried the long distance things for a while, but it eventually fell off, and so we're still real good friends. But that's the reason why I think I didn't marry him. But so I asked him to come over to the house because every time I told Chris to leave, he wouldn't leave. And I didn't want to have to go through the process of evicting him. So I had two male friends at the prison, not male friends as far as boyfriends, but male friends that were very, very close to me. We was real cool. I rode to work with one before. And so I had both of them to come over, and Chris was a wimp. So they told him, "Man, you got to get up out of here." And he was like, "Well, who do you think you?" Chris was like, "Well, who do you think you are coming up in here?" And they said, I advise you to get up out of here, or you. And he hurried up. He grabbed his stuff and he went ghost. Renee, you crazy. Renee said she would have gave up on men and found her a good woman. But you know what, Renee? I have cousins that are gay, and they're in a relationship. And believe it or not, you get the same problems that you do when which you have a male female relationship. The guys, when you have a female on female or guy on guy relationship, you're gonna have the same exact problem. The same exact problems. So I don't think I can trade. I can God just truly blessed me with my husband, and I wouldn't be with my husband if it wasn't for my pastor. Because I was going one way, and my pastor was like, "No, no, 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 that's not the way to go. This is what's for you right here." My husband, he was like, "This is what's right for you. He's a good man. He has a good head on his shoulder. Da 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 da. He's a gentleman. Da da da." So I was with my husband on the first dates because of my pastor. I didn't like my husband. I really didn't. I was in charge. I was the institution sergeant. That meant I was over the whole institution. I made sure the inmates were fed. I opened the yard for them. I did count. I did visitation, all that kind of stuff. And my husband was in charge of the kitchen. He was the food service supervisor. And staff could eat for $2.15. So you had a canteen card just like the inmates did. I know you didn't mean that, Renee. It was funny. I sometimes, believe it or not, I thought about it. I was like, God, I've been through so much with men that, maybe, a man is not for me. And I quickly said, no, that's not the way I want to go. Now, my mom and everybody, I have a gay foster brother. I have a gay foster sister. My mom lived in caregiver at one point. She was gay. She ended up falling in love with my mom, but my mom was like, you ain't got the right stuff for me to, you know what I'm talking about. Try to keep it PG-13. Oh, Renee, that is wonderful. I'm trying to get to 20. I'm almost there. But needless to say, the guys came. They got him out. I know, Renee, right? I'm gonna tell you, my husband. My husband he's like, I told y'all one day I'm gonna let y'all meet him, but he's not used to a strong-minded woman and someone that's going to say, no, that's not right. That's not right. You're not doing right. No. You're wrong. He's not used to that. So he gets frustrated, and then he gets quiet and he mopes around. And I'll say, babe, what's wrong? It's nothing wrong. I said, yes, it is. There's something wrong. No, I'm all right. Next day, I said, babe, what's wrong? Nothing wrong. I'm all right. I say, yeah, it's something wrong. It's something wrong. So the third day, needless to say, I'll look at my phone and I got a paragraph probably this long of him telling me what's wrong. You laughing, Renee? He sent me a paragraph this long about what's bothering him and how he wants things to be fixed and different things to that nature. And then I'll send him a long paragraph back. That's right, Deborah. You lost your husband 4 years into your marriage or 4 years before 46. Renee, I am too. I'm a very alpha male. I mean male. I'm a very alpha female. I am. And I had to be that way. My best friend to tell you, back in the day, I wouldn't take nothing off of anybody. But my son's father, that he was the first guy that I call myself being in love with. The first guy I physically had sex with because I was raped when I was 6 or 7. So the first guy that I slept with was my son's father. When I got pregnant with my son, he started selling drugs because he felt like he needed to provide for us, provide for his son. And I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't deal with him selling drugs and being around our child. And he almost got killed a couple of times. One time, somebody was shot out the back of his window of his car while and he had just dropped my son off. And that was like the final straw, because I said, my child could have been in that car. He could have died. So I left him alone. Yeah, me too, Deborah. 4 years ago. Oh, yes. Um, I cannot fathom how you feel. I know what you're going through, because my sister, she lost her husband, but Rob been gone probably 8 years now, 8 or 9 years, and it's still hard for her. She still cries. It's certain music that, oldie but goodie music. When certain songs come on, I see her, and I'll try to get her to stop, put a smile on her face, because I know that's what she's thinking about. And but yeah, so I my husband was overseas for 10 years, and he came home because um a one of the Afghanis came onto the post that he was on, and the guy was a suicide. He did a suicide bomb, and this person, I'm not gonna say, and over there it's crazy, because the man that the guy that did the suicide bomb worked on the base for over a year, and the guards at the front gate became accustomed to that person coming through the gate, so they didn't check him. So my husband said he was getting ready to go and get his Afghanis that work in the kitchen from the gate, and he said the building shook. They heard some, real loud bang and bang, and the building was shaking. And he said that he went outside, because he was already going out that way. He went outside, and he went around, just probably 10 feet from the defect to the line of sight of the gate. And he said when he got there, a second bomb went off. And when the second bomb went off, the force of it came and it threw him back. And he said when he got up, there was body parts everywhere. And so my husband, when he came home, Deborah, I can only imagine. You know what? So you sound like my best friend that just passed away. Her and her husband was together from the time they was in middle school up until till they passed away. So they was together, whew, 35 years, including their time being together in middle school. And I can't imagine being here without my husband. And it was, when he first came home, it was bad. He had nightmares really bad. He would beat me up in his sleep. I would wake up and my face would be sore. And knowing that, from that, and then me, some nights that he be asleep, I'll wake up and he is tossing and turning and stuff, and I will yep, that's like them. That's like them, Deborah. Sure, at 14 and 15 years old, that's how old they were when they first got together, and they was together until she passed away. So I can only imagine. So I keep in contact with him. I make sure that he's doing okay, and that him and the boys are getting along. And I try to make sure that he's getting out, not like out on dates or anything, but out of the house, whether it's out to eat, go hang out with the guys or something. Because The good thing about it is that he's not living in the house that they lived in for a long time. They have moved out. They moved out the house, and so they was in the process of building a home. I call it a mini mansion. And they was going to close on it last Christmas, and they end up the construction got pushed back for somehow, and so she passed away, and he couldn't bring himself. Renee said, family, please keep my immediate family in your prayers. I shared back in July that my middle daughter was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Her surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Rough 5 months. Prayers go up to you and your daughter. Praying that God the surgeon's hand. He be with everyone that's in the operating room that's going to have anything to do with your daughter. Prayers to you and her that she would be calm and she know that she's in good hands. And when she come out of surgery, we pray that the cancer is all gone and that she will be in remission and live a long and healthy life for years and years to come. So just keep us informed, Renee, on how everything goes, and we send you our love to you and your daughter. Um, and we know that God has everything in control, and so she's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You stay calm for her because we as mothers we get tied wound up because it's our child. So even though she's grown, you stay calm because she's going to be leaning and depending on you in the morning. And so yeah, we just send prayers that everything will go well, and that you're going to bring us good reports back. No problem, Renee. You're my girl. I never met you, but you're my sister from another mother. So I can't wait. I can't wait to meet some of you guys. I really can't. I went all the way to the Dominican Republic and met the first person that was part of our family. She heard me go live, and she came out of her room and was like, you're this. I said, yeah, I am. And so she was superly stoked to me. So, hey, Candace, how are you? I hope everything is going well, girl. Colon and stomach. She's going to be okay. Are they going in to take part of her colon out to get that part out? I'm assuming that's what they're going to do. They're going to go in and take the infection, the cancerous parts of the colon out, but I don't know how it works with the stomach. But whatever it is, they got it under control. Deborah said her husband has stomach cancer. Cancer is, guys, if you have a husband, you have a significant other, get their colon checked. My husband, he hasn't had a physical in, I know, 2 years. And I was like, I didn't realize that. And I was like, man, when the last time you had a physical? And he told me, and I was like, well, I'm getting ready to make you an appointment. I have to make him a dentist appointment. He hates going to the dentist. He hates going to the doctor. This man he's sick now. He has a cold, but he'll tell you he's not sick at all. But he got me sick. Him and my son and my grandson got me sick. But yes, ladies. But so I will. If y'all want to know, I made a Divas Talk Time because I wanted you ladies to get to know me better. I wanted to get you to know the things that I've been through in my life, and that if someone else is going through that out there, I wanted to be able to have these videos out in the public so that people can come back and see them and see how things have not always been easy for me. I mean, I'm gonna say it like this. I've never growing up, I stayed in the projects for probably a year with my mom. We stayed in the projects for a year and then she got us out. And then I stayed in the projects when I graduated high school. I stayed in the projects for 2 years while I finished college. And then I got out and moved out. But in my life, like I said, I've dealt with so many different types of abuse. I've done something that I am so ashamed of now. And now hindsight is 2020. And I was young and young and wanted what I wanted when I wanted and didn't care who I hurt to get it. And so I dealt with a married man before, and that's part of my life that I am so ashamed of. I was I still in high school? I had to still, yeah, I was still in high school when I was in high school because my son's father and I had broke up when I was in the summer of the 11th grade. So 12th grade, yeah, I was a senior in high school. Yeah. And I guess in some sense that I was taken advantage of because he was a much older person and I was still in high school. And I was so naive that he was going to leave his wife like everybody, like all other ones, like we do. We say, oh yeah, he's gonna leave his wife, and he a month turned into 3 months, 3 months turns into 6 months, 6 months turns into a year, and I got off that roller coaster because I started dating somebody else, and when I dated this guy was supposedly separated, and come to find out he was calling me and the phone bills were going back home because he was in the Marine Corps and he would call me all the time it was a long distance phone call and he would call me 3, 4, 5 times a day. And then after we dated for 6 months or so, I get a phone call and the person says, asked me, did I know, and guess what his name was? Bobby Brown, y'all. His name was Bobby Brown. And she asked me, did I know somebody named Bobby? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, who is he to you? And I said, he's my boyfriend. And I said, well, who is he to you? And she was like, he's my husband. I was like, what? And I was like, she was like, yeah. And I was talking to her on the phone and he called me. And so I said, hold on, that's him right there. So I was click over and I was like, hey, how you doing? He was like, fine. He was like, hey, babe, how you doing? I was like, okay. I was like, guess who I'm on the phone with? He was like, who? I was like, your wife. Oh, hang up with her. She's crazy. She know we're not together anymore. Don't believe anything she says and yada, 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 yada. So I'm not, like I said, I was a straightforward person. I was like, look, I clicked back over and I was like, he's saying, don't talk to you, don't do this, don't do that. But look, I've been here, did that before. Don't want to go through it again. This is what I'm going to do. You hang up and I'm going to call you back. So she hung up. I clicked back over and he was like, what did she say? And all this. And I was like, oh, she was like that y'all was still together. Y'all wasn't legally separated. The only legal type of separation y'all was because you was stationed in Camp Lejeune and she was back in New York, but y'all was fully together, da da da. And so I was like, hold on for a minute, babe. Hold on. I'm like, hold on, babe, hold on for a minute. So I call her back And I said, I'm gonna click you in, but I just want you to listen to what he's saying. And then in the end, you could come back out and say something. So I clicked back over. She was on the phone. I was like, so y'all not together? He was like, nah, we not together. I said, so how long y'all been apart? Said, man, we've been separated for over a year now. I'm just waiting for my divorce to come through. I don't understand why she called you. I said, she called me because the phone bill went to her house, and my phone number was up there repeatedly, and so she called it because she wanted to know who it was. So he was like, oh well, I don't know why that bill is still going there to the house, to the house. It shouldn't be going there. Da, 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 da. So I was like, so you telling me right here right now that don't believe anything she say, she's lying, y'all not together, you're not with her, you already told her about me and all that. He was like, yeah. I was like, did you hear all that? And she was like, yeah, I heard his line, and she was cussing him out. And I was like, you know what? This sounds like this is a conversation for you and your husband to have. So I'm gonna hang up the phone, and you don't have to worry about me seeing your husband again. So I hung up, and he tried to he kept calling and calling and calling, and I wouldn't take the phone call. And he called my mom and was like, Mom, could you tell her to please answer the phone? That line woman of mine that I used to be married to, telling her all this kind of stuff, and she believing it. So my mama said, Ida, now this man is telling you. I said, Mom, you know what? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to say anything else to him. This is the guy that raped me twice. I didn't know what rape was, but raped me twice. And I figured because we were dating that, it wasn't rape. He was dating. I just said no. He said yes. I said no. He said yes. He did. And everybody tell me, that's rape. That's rape. And so I left that relationship alone. He verbally abused me. He was a drinker. He drank, and oh God, 2 minutes over. Um he drank, but I'm gonna stop right there, and I will tell you guys. I don't know how we got from homelessness and stuff to where I'm at now. Probably because I didn't have a topic on hand, and I just wanted to bring that to you guys. But if ladies, if you're able to visit your local homeless shelter, and bring some type of comfort and cheer to a child that's there, whether you go to the Salvation Army and buy a blanket, a stuffed animal. You'll be amazed that stuffed animals do a whole lot for children. My granddaughter just left. She says, yeah, I want a large unicorn. And believe it or not, this lady in Gatlinburg, Virginia, or Gatlinburg, Maryland, she has a unicorn that stands as tall as my granddaughter, and she has it for sale for $50. And I'm trying my best to buy that and get her to ship it to me. I pray and pray and pray that she do that. And my grandson said that he wants a stuffed animal. My little half pint, she has a little rabbit, and she left the rabbit at my house. And when she saw her rabbit today, oh my gosh, she had the biggest smile on her face. She held it and she hugged it. And I mean, you'll be surprised, lady. Yes. But we're 4 minutes out, guys, and I'm so sorry. I guess because I didn't talk to you guys last week, that I just has a lot to talk about. Good night, Deborah, Renee. We're going to keep you and your daughter in prayer. Please send me an email at Design on a Dollar to let me know how everything went tomorrow. And if I don't see you on Design on a Dollar, I know that you're taking care of your daughter. And ladies, be safe. My divine, innovative, victorious, achieved sisters, I love you guys, and thank you so much for loving me and being here. And if you know someone that can benefit from any topics that we had, please invite them to become a part of Divas Talk Time. And I'm going to have apparel coming out very soon with the Divas logo on it. And so, guys, until next Monday, I will talk to you later. Guys, remember, please keep Deborah in your prayers too, and Renee and her daughter. And guys, I talk with you guys on next week. Bye. Love you too, Deborah.